Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah. I am from Discover, and today we're talking to Carlynn Greene. Carlynn, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, and you?
Oh, quite well. Yeah, excited to be here. I had my own journey through college and everything, so this information is going to be very valuable, and I'm just excited to learn more. For everyone watching, going to cover a couple things. First, to make sure you're in the right place, we are talking about how to win scholarships and graduate debt-free, no matter your background. We're going to break down the qualities needed to win back-to-back scholarships and learn how Carlynn won 30 scholarships for her own education and how she's helped other students win millions of dollars from various majors, demographics, grade levels, and etc. We're diving all into just getting scholarships for college. And just to make sure that you know, if anything happens, you have to get up away from the computer for a sec, or life around you happens and you have to leave, there will be a replay available. It'll be here on YouTube, it'll be on the event page itself, and it'll also be emailed to you if you RSVP'd to the event, as well as the course offer, which we'll talk about a little later. And we will have a dedicated Q&A after the presentation, so if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments as we go. We're not ignoring you if we don't answer right away. We'll get to those in that dedicated Q&A. And Carla, I don't want to take up too much time here, so I'm going to hand it over to you and let's dive in.
Yes, well, let me go ahead and share my screen because I have a presentation for you guys.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Well, I can't stress one thing I've reflected on in my past is just like there is not a lot of information just readily available about all the scholarships you can apply for. Or even I learned after I
Yeah,
didn't go to
exactly.
college the first, right? It's like the Native American Foundation in Washington, where I'm from, like gives scholarships to non-Native Americans. But nobody tells you
Exactly.
that, right? And all of these intricacies. So yeah, anyways, just expressing the excitement. I'm so curious to learn. So I'll
Yes,
bring
let's go
the
ahead.
presentation up. Yeah,
Okay, can you guys
and
see
we're good
my
to go.
screen? I hope so.
We sure can.
Awesome, awesome. So, hi everyone, and congrats on being here with me today. Because did you know that right now is, in fact, the best time to be applying for scholarships? Many full rides and bigger awards that give out more money have deadlines right around this time frame. So, now if you're joining this webinar, there is likely more than one reason as to why. For one, perhaps you've applied to scholarships, but you keep getting rejected, or you don't know anything about how to win scholarships. You applied for the FAFSA, but was barely awarded anything, if not any grant money at all. Or perhaps you are ineligible for the FAFSA. You don't want to take out student loans, or perhaps you're already taking out student loans and you're sick and tired of it, or you are tired of working multiple jobs just to make ends meet for your education. Now, if these are any of your frustrations, I want for you guys to leave a comment in the chat if any of these situations best reflect you. And as those comments pour in, I want to say that just about all these frustrations listed on this screen, I was in the same exact boat as you are right now. So you are by far not alone in this process, and there is a way out of it. So, the next slide. I wanted to put this out here. So a lot of people don't know this, but it is predicted that by 2023 or 2024, the total student loan debt will reach $2 trillion. But guess what? Earlier this year, I graduated debt-free with 26 scholarships for undergrad and 4 scholarships for grad school, which I am currently in. And of those 26 undergraduate scholarships, can you guess how many I won as a current college student and how many I won as a high school student? I'll wait a bit in the chat to see if anyone can guess the right answer. Well, there is a bit of a delay with the comments, so let me just go ahead and go to the next slide. So I won 12 scholarships during my college junior and senior year, 14 during my high school junior and senior year, and then 4 scholarships for grad school. And as you can see on your screen, these are some of the scholarships listed that I won over the years. And also, here are some of the award letters that I got from certain scholarships. And as you can see, a lot of them came from like journalism, media related organizations, because I, during undergrad, majored in broadcast journalism. And right now in grad school, I'm studying public relations. And here are some of the students I have helped over the years win millions of dollars in scholarships themselves and graduate debt free, or some of which are still in school right now with zero student loan debt. And as you can see, these students come from various demographics, each have different study concentrations, such as art, science, nursing, business, accounting, you name it. And this is why the motto for my business is less owing loans, more owning scholarships. And speaking of student loans, did you know that there are scholarships that can in fact pay that off? As an example of this, I literally had a student just last month win a scholarship that fully paid off her student loan debt. So yes, even if you have already graduated with loan debt, you can have your college tuition from those years prior paid off. So now, when it comes to my approach for teaching others about scholarships, I always think back to this famous quote: give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Now, many times people approach me asking if I can find a scholarship for them. However, my main focus is teaching you how to win because that will help you so much more in the long run. So I wanted to know, sorry, how you guys are feeling. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Let introduce yourself, such as if you are a student, a parent, an educator, any of that. I want to know. Yes, there's a delay with the comments, but that is fine. Let's just go ahead and move on to the next slide. So here is what we will be covering today: from common scholarship mistakes that prevented me and others for the longest from winning, misconceptions that prevent people from applying for certain scholarships, little known facts about scholarships that can increase your winning chances, the qualities and the skills you need in order to win back-to-back awards, my professional background in journalism and all the news coverage I've gotten over the years for what I do, and etc. So, before all that, first let's go over how I got started. So, back in 2017, I won this scholarship, as you can see on your screen, during my senior year of high school from a hospital I had been volunteering at for several years. Before I received my award at the ceremony, I was notified of being a winner via the mail, like physical mail. And my mom happened to open my mail up for me. And when she did, she was crying along my bedside. Now, keep in mind that I was asleep, and imagine waking up to your parent crying on their knees with their head hanging low. Like, I thought something tragic had happened to someone we knew in our family, and my heart dropped. But when she handed me that award letter, it said that I had won a $4,500 scholarship. And so after I saw her reaction, that was when I realized something: that the expertise that I have built that the expertise that I have built over the years on what it takes to win scholarships, that I need to share this with others. I need to make it more well known. So that's when I started my business, Scholarship Guru, and began to help others. As you can see on your screen, students win scholarships ever since. So now I wanted to go over some of the most common scholarship misconceptions. And these are all fake news, by the way. And this is so important to cover because so many people do not even bother to start the scholarship process because of these myths. And as a result, they just opt out to take out student loans. Okay, so for the first three misconceptions that I will be debunking, number one, scholarships are like trying to win the lottery, so don't even try. Two, my parents make too much money. You have to be low income in order to win. And three, since FAFSA didn't give me much, if not anything, I can't win scholarships. So, for one, winning multiple scholarships is actually more so about strategy and positivity. It is not mainly centered around luck. Two, as I mentioned earlier, I did not qualify for much FAFSA money because with my parents, they make well over six figures, but that did not stop me from winning scholarships and graduating debt free for two degrees. Also, can you guess how much scholarship money I was awarded? Feel free to write down in the comment section what you think it is. And I know that there's a delay in the comments. It takes about 10 to 15 seconds for me to finally see them. So actually, I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So I've been able to win over the years $125,000 in scholarships. And if you guess that amount, then congrats. You get a virtual cookie. And this will make sense later because I have an intention for having these congratulation pages pop up throughout this presentation. Anywho, back to the next slide will cover the next misconception. So many people think that you can only win scholarships during your high school senior year. However, the very first one I won was during my junior year of high school. Matter of fact, you can even win at any grade level, K through 12, such as how Google offers a $30,000 scholarship for those kindergarten all the way up to their senior year in high school. And you can even win if you are in homeschooled or if you're already in your 30s or you're 60 years old. There are scholarships for every age, every demographic. And as you saw earlier, you can win as a current college student, graduate student, PhD, whatever it may be. And to give you more visuals of this, first, I want you to take a guess. What are some of the major scholarships that I won? And as a hint, some were from celebrities and also a very powerful establishment. Now, I would be waiting for the comments, but again, the delay, so I'm going to go to the next slide. Now, if you guess that I won a scholarship from the famous boxer Floyd Mayweather, and also a scholarship from the famous rapper Future, if you're familiar with his music, and even a scholarship from the US Congress. They have the Congressional Black Caucus. They gave out a scholarship to me. Now, if you guess any of these, then congrats. Again, you get a virtual cupcake. Now, you'll probably notice that by now I've said this multiple times. Congratulations. However, this is intentional because I want you to get used to hearing that word when you start winning scholarships for yourself over and over again. So, moving on to more misconceptions. Many believe that you can only win scholarships if you excel academically or athletically, such as or even that, oh gosh, I'm Huh. Or even that only certain majors, such as those doing the STEM pathway, can win scholarships. And again, this is false. There are scholarships that do not require GPA, test scores, transcripts, etc. Instead, it may be more so dependent on things like leadership, community service, writing contests, or even certain talents you have. Also, as you saw earlier with the scholarships I've won, they were predominantly from journalism students, for journalism students, which falls under the liberal arts category. And additionally, I have helped students from a variety of non-STEM or non-journalism majors such as art, business, law school, you name it. Now, as far as scholarships I've helped other people win, approximately 70% of winners were studying in the US and 30% were studying outside of the United States. For example, this student seen here was actually the very first student I helped win a scholarship back in 2017. And this debunks our seventh myth, which was that there are no scholarships for international students. Also, recently, this student updated me that he was able to win yet again a full ride to study for his graduate degree, his master's degree, studying in the UK. So, I want you all to know that the advice that I provide is applicable and actionable to any student, whether you are in the US or not, no matter your study concentration, grade level, and of course, no matter your racial, gender, or religious background. Now, of course, it is one thing for me to just show you the faces of people with a number under them as if this were like Jeopardy or something. So, I will also share with you all what the students I mentor are saying. So referring back to these two scholarships I won, just a year after I won this scholarship from the US Congress, these two students were able to win the same exact scholarship worth $10,000. And then we saw the same results for this student who was also a fellow journalism student such as myself. She too was able to win the Floyd Mayweather Foundation scholarship, which was a scholarship specifically for women in media. And also this scholarship that I mentioned earlier that I got from Future, the rapper, well, can you guess what? I was actually ineligible for this at first. Yes, that's right. You can apply for scholarships that you are ineligible for. It's just a matter of negotiating the eligibility. You can even apply and win scholarships from places you least expect to, such as from Greek life organizations, law firms, and so many other places that people automatically assume that they're ineligible for. However, because many people don't know this, that can work in your favor, making such awards less competitive for you. And with that, we have demystified the eighth misconception that there are no scholarships out there for me. See, sometimes you just have to bring a chair to the table rather than waiting for one to be made available. So, a retention check. How are you guys feeling? Which fact about scholarships did you not know already before? Let me know in the comments. And again, there's the delay with me being able to see your comments. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next go to the next slide. Oh, okay. So, with that, let's move forward to what you all have come here for. How do I win scholarships? Well, you need what I like to call scope. Let me explain. So, SCOPE is an acronym that I came up with, which stands for strategy, competitiveness, organization, positivity, and endurance. Now, this is the basic foundation of what it takes to win scholarships, and feel free to take a screenshot of this and read it. Now, all these qualities are very important, but the most important ones are strategy and endurance. Many times people go into the scholarship process thinking it is just a matter of filling out the paperwork. They are not intentional with the writing in their essay. And by the way, your scholarship essay is by far the most important part of your application rather than your stats, your GPA, and things like that. And so they are not particular with the types of scholarships that they are applying for and end up wasting their time. And as for endurance, many people give up once they've been rejected 10 times over, 50 times over. And a lot of times, the same people who give up on applying are the same ones who never seek constructive criticism or professional help so they can learn and improve their application. I mean, just think about it. If you were to fail an assignment or even an entire class 10 times over, what would you do? You would go to tutoring, you would go to office hours to figure out why. Well, the same thing can be said when you're applying for scholarships and getting rejected. Now, I want to cover some of the common scholarship mistakes and problems that prevent people from winning. Because it's one thing for me to teach you the do's of scholarships, but it's also just as important for me to cover the don'ts because I don't want you guys to repeat my beginner mistakes, and so that you can instead see faster winning results. And also, there are certain skills you need to build and master, which I will also be covering in this presentation. So, eight common scholarship mistakes are as follows. One, thinking scholarships are just a matter of filling out the paperwork. Two, applying for scholarship scams. Yes, unfortunately, you heard that right. Three, applying for only highly competitive scholarships. This was a main mistake I made, and that's why I teach people how to identify their domain and territory so you're not wasting your time. Number four, not focusing on your scholarship essay, which again is the most important part of your application. Five, thinking like your competition and not outside the box because you don't want to sound generic. Seven, oh, number six, not thinking from the point of view of the scholarship decision committee because you want to, again, stand out and not sound like everyone else. Seven, not being organized and rushing last minute applications. And lastly, number eight, missing deadlines and not paying attention to time zones. And time zones are so important. I have missed out on so many opportunities simply because I thought they were my time zone, but they were instead an hour ahead of me. Now, as for eight common scholarship problems people have, for one, they keep applying but never win, don't have research skills, don't have strategic communicational skills, don't have visual presentational skills. Perhaps they have strong academics and extracurriculars but weak writing skills. Six, strong academic style writing skills, but not persuasive style writing. Persuasive style writing is something that they don't really teach us through public education schools. So this is very important when it comes to writing your scholarship essay because you're trying to convince people as to why they should choose you over someone else. Seven, perhaps the advice you've been given is very generic and has never helped you win. And lastly, number 8, you simply don't apply or give up because you feel overwhelmed or discouraged after facing rejection. So, where do I come in with all this? And how is my advice any different from perhaps what you have already heard that hasn't worked for you? Well, let me show you. Now, typically with external scholarship advice, it tends to be very generic. And personally, I never was able to win as a result of that advice. I had to figure out this whole entire process by myself. And also, external advice doesn't really go deep into detail, analyzing as to why a scholarship application was chosen as the winner over others. Additionally, you may be referred to scholarships that are simply a waste of your time because they are way too competitive to win in the first place. And again, this all ties back into this quote, which is like my philosophy for what I do. I also want to point out that there are other benefits from learning the strategies that I use to win scholarships for myself and for others. For instance, these techniques can help you with securing an internship, fellowship, or job since the processes are very, very similar. Also, your strategic communication skills will improve, overall financial literacy, and your research skills, which of course can help you with your academic performance in school. And as an example of these additional benefits in action, we have this student here who is enrolled in my online course and was able to win a fellowship for grad school as well as a $1,000 grant. Also, using these strategies for scholarships, I personally was able to obtain every single internship and job I ever applied to, meaning I never faced rejection from those types of applications. So, as an example, I recently just finished up my internship with ABC News Live and worked alongside Good Morning America. And this is important to note because winning a scholarship can be harder, much harder than obtaining a job or internship. So, if you can master my scholarship techniques, getting anything else you want in life, anything else you are applying to, it can be a walk in the park. I also want to highlight this student here. Her name is Sarah. She's an honor student who is trying to win scholarships to transfer from Nevada to Texas. And for context, in the past, she had applied for over a dozen scholarships. She sought advice from teachers and counselors and even read other scholarship books on how to win scholarships. And their advice was not working for her. She could never win. And then she finally came across what I do and was able to win 7 scholarships back to back for a total of over $34,000. And another student I wanted to highlight is Chris. And get this, he was actually the valedictorian of his 6A high school, which means that he was a top student in a school of over 2,000 kids. And you would think that if you're a valedictorian, you would automatically get a full ride scholarship, right? Well, that was not the case for him, unfortunately. So during his sophomore year of college, he came across what I do to help others with scholarships and was able to win one of the most competitive ones in the US from Dr. Pepper worth $100,000. And also, he was able to win 3 other scholarships totaling at $3,000 after I edited his scholarship essays. So now he will be graduating debt free for not only his undergrad degree, but also for grad school since he needs a master's degree in order to become an art professor. And also, let's see. Oh yeah, I have so many more success stories to share to you all. So there's this student here. She was able to win $85,000 in scholarships, a Howard University student at HBCU, and one of those scholarships she won was a $40,000 Amazon Future Engineer scholarship. And then there was this student who won over $400,000 in scholarships. I'm still in awe that she did that. And she again is also attending an HBCU, Tuskegee University. And some more examples, we got this person who won a scholarship from Ford, from Taco Bell, and a senior in college who won from Virgin Galactic for aerospace engineering. And again, that just puts an emphasis on the fact that it is never too late to apply for scholarships. A lot of people don't know that you can apply as a current college student. And here she is winning a $15,000 scholarship her senior year. And again, This pertains, my advice can pertain to any study concentration. So this student is a law school student. She was able to win a $10,000 scholarship. And also international students, we got this student from Singapore and this student from India who were able to win study abroad scholarships. And so the reason why I do all this is simple. I want to do my part to make higher education more financially accessible, lower college dropout rates, diversify career fields, lower the student loan debt crisis because my God, it's getting out of hand, lessen the socioeconomic gap, and overall change lives for the better. And with that being said, let's get to what you all have probably been asking yourselves this entire time. That is, how can I help you? Well, let's find out, shall we? So, what I offer is my online course, The Scholarship Algorithm, and here's a breakdown with all of what it covers. And I encourage you to take screenshots for future reference. So, the first part talks about how to find scholarships that you are more likely to win. Here's a preview of how it looks from inside the course, viewing as a student. The second part talks about optimization and organization, such as providing you with shortcuts and hacks I use to speed up my workflow and scholarship process to make it less time consuming, because so many people don't even bother to go about the scholarship process because they think it takes too much time. Part 3 covers your scholarship essay using indirect persuasive writing style, because the scholarship applications that don't get selected are the ones that sound entitled to win. It is so important to sound humble. Um, and then the fourth part, it talks about filling out the application by making it visually compelling and memorable, because just as how people judge a book by its cover, the same can be said for scholarships. Those scholarship judges can have biases as well. Also, it goes over ways to make your letters of recommendation stand out more, which is the second most important part of your application, right behind your scholarship essay. And additionally, there is the option to have my personalized services bundled in, which include essay editing, application reviewing, interview coaching, personalized advising, and getting priority access to my help, because every day I get hundreds of messages from students and parents and educators asking me about scholarship advice. So you with this online course, you would be able to get first dibs on fitting into my schedule. I also felt the need to share this. So, according to data conducted by a financial aid researcher, only 0.1% of all undergraduate students receive $25,000 or more in scholarships. However, with my results of those undergrad students who I have been able to help win, approximately 25% won $25,000 or more in scholarships. And again, there's another statistic here. Only 1.5% of students in bachelor degree programs got enough scholarships and grants to cover 100% of the cost of attendance. Whereas with my results, about 30% of those who have contacted me with their wins were able to receive enough in scholarships alone or accompanied by grants for a full ride to school. So, if you too want to be a part of that 25% or that 30%, then I highly encourage you to enroll in my online course, The Scholarship Algorithm. Now, there are 4 course options. As you can see, both master courses have all the course videos and bonuses. However, the difference is that with the VIP version, you get my personalized services bundled in at a fraction of the usual cost. And of course, since you joined me here today, I have to give you a special offer. So normally the basic version of the course minus the personalized services normally sells for $499. However, within the next 24 hours, you can get it instead for $399. So $100 off using this promo code basic 100 off. Or if you instead want to go with the VIP version, which has my personalized services bundled in, normally that sells for $799. But again, within the next 24 hours, you can instead get it for $699 with a promo code TSA100 off. And if you are curious about more details regarding what my bundled in services entail, feel free to take a screenshot of this slide here so you can get a better idea of what each one looks like. And once again, I have a long academic and professional background in journalism, communications, and writing, as you can see here on my screen. And many of the highly competitive scholarships I won were journalism based. And the thing about winning scholarships is that the process, again, is essentially exactly the same. Um, as applying for internships or jobs. And the process of applying for scholarships or just the overall scholarship process is similar for the news industry. Because with the news industry, we have to have very strong research skills, writing skills, editing, and all these other things. So, and having the capacity to grab the reader's attention or the viewer's attention within a short amount of time. Also, my work has been recognized by multiple broadcasted shows, such as seen here, and I am currently a contributor for Teen Kids News. So check me out on there if you haven't already. Now, is there a guarantee that you will win with my advice? No, but once again, this course goes beyond just giving scholarship advice. It can help you in various other aspects of your life, as seen here on the screen. As an example of this, just earlier this month in November, I was awarded a $15,000 grant from LinkedIn and a $50,000 grant from Macro to help fund my business and media projects. Grant applications are almost identical to scholarship applications. So, and the same can be said for the internship application that I had when I was working for Disney slash ABC News. And also, again, this student, as you saw earlier in the presentation, shows just another example of how this online course can help you outside of just scholarships. It can also help with fellowships or grants. And for those concerned about the price, I want you to just imagine this. Let's say that you spend perhaps $499 on an online course, and then months later, you win six figures like me, or like Chris, who won after using my personalized coaching, instructional videos, essay editing, and my book. And in his case, his return on investment was over $100,000. And I also wanted to put this out there. Almost 14% of the US population has student loan debt. And on average, it takes 16 years to pay that all back. And again, right now is the best time to apply for scholarships because those that give away more money, like the full rides, have deadlines right around this time. I literally had someone who invested in what I do for her nephew. Her nephew. So she too was a journalism major like me. However, in terms of scholarships, she never got one. And she graduated from NYU with over $100,000 in student loan debt. And now she's in her 40s, like 20 years after she had already graduated, still paying off her student loan debt. And she doesn't want that to be the case for her nephew, too. And also, let's not even get into the interest rates for student loans, which make them even harder to pay off. I literally saw someone who had like 100K in student loans, but because of the interest rates, they had to pay instead $125,000. And also, due to the pandemic, interest rates have been halted, but starting January 31st, 2022, so like a month from now, those interest rates will resume. See, there are a lot of financial literacy deserts where people simply do not know how college financial aid works, especially scholarships, because schools mainly focus on only teaching us about like FAFSA and student loans. They don't really focus on scholarships. And also, as you can see here, the students on this screen, one of the things I like to do, given my background in journalism, is that I like to interview people once they win and ask them this main question: what did your school do to teach you about financial aid? And did they focus at all on scholarships? And the answer is always no. They did not learn how to win scholarships in high school or their college. So, are you ready to increase your chances of winning scholarships by 10 times more? You now have 24 hours, one day, to get the master course for 100% off using one of these promo codes at a fraction of the cost with all of the bonuses include. And I hope to see you in my classroom. And with that all being said, feel free to shoot me an email if you have any additional questions. And now we're going to open the floor to some questions. I hope you enjoy this presentation, and please let me know if you were able to learn anything from it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carla. There are so many elements of that. I wish I had known about this 10 years ago when I was first applying for college. It's crazy. And some of the scholarships you've gotten, I never would have even thought like those people had scholarships like Floyd and stuff. It's wild. So everyone, please pop any questions you have in the comments right now. We have a little more time to answer those questions. We'll give it a second for those to roll in. And I'll take this moment also to say that the link to the course is in the comments here. It's pinned to the top. It's also in the description and will be emailed to you along with the replay. That all said, I was especially interested because I know it's very easy to think like, oh, scholarships, if you're not going to school, maybe these skills aren't as useful and stuff. But already grant applications is a major aspect of where I could see my partner is works in nonprofits. So I was sending her the link to your course at the moment. Stuff. But I would love to ask, like, what's maybe the most unexpected application you've had students like use these skills for?
Unexpected application. I would say when they're applying for grant money to go to conferences, like if they're
Mm,
wanting to get travel paid for, hotel paid for, and things like that. Again, it can help with that process. And I even use these same techniques when I was applying for like a stipend for a conference I was going to in New York. That was just like earlier in October of this year. And everything was paid for the whole week that I was there.
right. So it's really just the learning how to write persuasively. And I appreciate that you say that doesn't mean you're sounding entitled. It's not that I deserve it, right? But it's like, here's why I should get this. I love that. And then question just about the course and kind of how it walks through. You mentioned it's a good time to do this. How long does the course typically take for someone to get through?
Yes, so the course is approximately 5 hours long, and there's a lot of learning material with it, like handouts. It comes with my book and also what I call the scholarship likelihood calculator, which gives you an idea on the questions you need to ask yourself beforehand before you even apply for a scholarship to determine whether or not it is even worth your time.
Hmm. That's why, and yeah, right. So that makes sense. And then I did have some comments during that I do want to relate to, phrase them as a question. Johnny was saying, I didn't know you can be out of school and still be able to get scholarships. This resonates with me because it's been a while since I've been in school, but would be curious. And so, is there like a cutoff time where it's kind of like, what are the parameters for when you can apply to scholarships, or if you're interested in going to school, it's always available?
Well, it depends on the application. Sometimes I've seen student loan debt scholarships of where you can apply even if you graduated from college or perhaps if you dropped out or it's been like 10 years since you graduated from college. They all have different parameters, different time frames. So it all depends.
Hmm. Okay, so it's very specific to your situation. Well, we're getting quite a few questions in here. So Kristen was asking, what about low GPA scholarships? Could you provide some clarification about that?
Yes, so there are quite a few scholarships that do not require GPA or test scores, such as the scholarships that I give out. I forgot to mention this in the presentation, but I give out three, about to be four scholarships. The fourth one I'm about to launch specifically for international students. So one of the scholarships I give out is called the Pandemic Spark Scholarship. Now the deadline for that has already passed. The other two ones I give out are for those who are like comic or cartoon lovers, and the third one is for those with student loan debt. And I have a goal of getting that scholarship fund to 10,000 or $20,000. And these scholarships are all hosted on bold.org. So feel free to apply for them.
Love it. That's so awesome too. I love that you're turning it back around and providing an economy within your own business. That's awesome. Uh, my disputer was saying, at which grade level would you suggest a middle or high schooler can start applying for a scholarship?
Well, the best year to apply for scholarships is your senior year of high school, but again, you can apply even beforehand. And I encourage you to apply before your senior year because the earlier you get familiar with the process, the less likely you are to face rejection.
Mm. So part of it is just like building the skin to be able to like handle that process. Yeah. That that makes me regret so much that I didn't even apply to scholarships until I was a senior in high school. Cause yeah, of course you need to get used to the process itself. I love that. Got one more question at the moment. We'll see if I'm in, but Nicole was asking, do you offer help with persuasive writing or just editing?
I offer help with both, but more so a focus on editing like the essays or overall scholarship application, because there are several elements that go into a scholarship application, such as not only the essay, but also your letters of recommendation, your resume, cover letter, all these different elements.
Love it. Cool. So really the full scope. Um, so we'll see if any more questions come in at the moment, but I did want to ask one myself, which is just we briefly mentioned getting comfortable with rejection, but as a human being, that's maybe one of the hardest things to get good at doing. Do you have any specific like advice just for like getting through that? No matter how like many times it happens, it can be difficult. Like, what's one of the like internal emotional tools, or what do you do to just like work through that and move on to the next goal?
I always like to think that there's a lesson with every
Mm,
rejection. As I said earlier with the presentation, when you are rejected, you should try and seek constructive criticism to learn as to why that happened. For example,
mm.
I had a student who was a finalist for this $5,000 scholarship, and then they ended up not choosing her. And I was like, well, you got to email them and ask, why did they not choose you? And their feedback was that on her application, she mentioned with her extracurriculars, things that she did back in high school, but they wanted to know what she was doing as a current college student. So that one thing was what prevented her from winning that scholarship. So once she revamped and edited her application for a different scholarship that again was worth 5,000, she won that one instead.
Ah, wow. And so it was such a minor thing. Like it wasn't what she was doing, just the timeline of when it was presented, right? Well, and I guess because in most situations, like scholarship programs aren't like emailing you being like, "Hey, could you update this part of your application?" Right? You have to seek that out. Yeah, I appreciate it. I think just want to also acknowledge I think that's great advice for any rejection in life is just to like go out and seek a little more a
Yes,
little
and I
more
have another tip for
clarification.
you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes it does help to be a procrastinator when it comes to scholarships because, like, let's say that a scholarship is due in December, but you applied for it all the way back in the summer. Well, a lot of things have happened in between that time frame that you might want to add to your application. But a lot of times with scholarships, you cannot edit your application after you have already submitted it. So sometimes it is better to submit your application closer to the deadline so you stand out more.
And just to clarify, I'm hearing two things there. One, that just submitting closer to the deadline is good, but that also like you want your application to be as much of a representation of like you right now as well. That's such a cool. Okay, so not necessarily like waiting to finish the application, but waiting till the being strategic about the right time to do that, right? And not just trying to cross it off the list. Love that. And I got one more thing coming in from schooling Diana, which leads into I've never had anyone tell me why the rejection when I asked total ghosting. I'm also curious, like, is there a strategy for like reaching out and asking for that further critique?
Yes, so if you're, like, emailing them and they're not responding, you can always call as well, but if they don't pick up that typically the scholarships that don't respond and give you constructive criticism as to why you were rejected are those that are, like, nationally competitive and get, like, hundreds and thousands of applicants, but if it's local, they're a bit more there's more communication going on, so if you're not getting feedback, again, reach out to, like, a scholarship expert such as myself so you can understand and see what those mistakes are being made with your application.
That makes so much sense. So there's reasonable expectations, right? You shouldn't be expecting like the FAFSA to get back and like let you know exactly what it was. Love it. I think that's all the questions we have for now. Thank you everyone who's been here, and also thank you for coming here, because if you're here, you're clearly on the road to trying to like further your education and figure out a smarter way to do it. Higher education is pretty crazy in America like these days. I have a lot of friends that live with so much debt, and it it's an unfortunate part of the education system. But the one just fortunate part I want to say is it's beautiful to see people like you coming out here and trying to solve that, while also making you a better speaker, a better writer, like just a better person. So I appreciate that so much. Um, and oh, I got one more question just about where you can see those various courses. I will make sure to post in the chat right now the full link to where all of those courses are. We have highlighted one for the Discover Fest, but that same code will apply. So I'm dropping that in the chat right now. And once again, yeah, those links are in the comments. They're in the description itself. And thank you, Carlynn, so much for being here today. Did you have any last wisdom you want to share, or any last thoughts for us all?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for joining me. And if you have any other further questions, feel free to email me either at algorithmscholarship@gmail.com or my last name, first name. So Greene Carlynn at Gmail.
Love it. Thank you again so much for being here and for sharing your expertise, and also for building the business you have that helps people so much. And just, again, I can't accentuate how much I love becoming a better person while also tackling this problem. It's it's the beauty of so many entrepreneurs right now. Which also, if you enjoyed this video, for everyone watching, thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are trying to bring more creators, educators, problem solvers like Carlynn out here. And it's been a delight to talk to you. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and Carlynn, you as well.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.